Hey, welcome in. This is Brian. I'm flying solo today, and Bill is on the road. He is in his Jeep Gladiator, so he is driving all across Oklahoma. And today, I thought I'd take the opportunity to talk about 2026, what's in front of us, by taking a look at where we are and where we've been, so that we have a better rooting to understand. Well, what does the oil market look like in 2026? What does the natural gas market look like in 2026? These are big questions, and there's a lot of underlying things. And honestly, we could spend probably 300 hours studying it and still not get it right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to high grade the information. We're going to talk a little bit about where we've been, what lessons we can take away from it, where we are, and what we can take away from that, so that we can formulate live on this call what 2026 is going to look like for oil markets, for natural gas markets. So let's take a look. Definitely drop us a line and let us know if you want to see something, or have us talk about something in the future. But I'm going to go ahead and dive into it, because we're not going to waste any time looking at this. So I'm actually going to start by taking a look at where we are. Then we're going to look backwards. And part of the reason that we do that is when we're looking at markets, they are three-dimensional. A lot of people approach the market as two-dimensional. Is it up? Is it down? Well, where we are and where we've been tell a story, and what that story means translates into the future. And the fact of the matter is that you have to evaluate where you are and where you've been to understand where you're going. And that's the great Wayne Gretzky quote of skate to where the puck is going. So let's take a look at 2026. Let's start with crude oil, and then we'll do the same exercise for natural gas. So let's start with crude oil first. So right now we are looking at the forward market, and this is relatively a flat forward curve. I know there's a slight differential here, but 61, 62, $63 is basically saying that we're not in growth, we're not in decline, but it is saying that we're arbitrarily low for right now. So what I want to do is I want to step back. Now, where do we get oil from? What supply sources do we go from? Because oftentimes when we're looking at markets, there is a balancing act sitting on a triangle. So, and that is going to be a battle between supply and demand. And if you have too much supply, then then the market is going to go down. And if you have too much demand, the market is going to go up. So it really rests on a seesaw battle between those two. I typically start with the supply side, because there's a lot of metrics that can give you insight into the future. So for crude oil on the demand side, there's a lot of different factors to where crude oil gets refined. It goes into refined products. So you gotta triangulate what do gasoline markets look like, what do diesel markets look like, what does jet fuel market look like, what does asphalt or distillates market look like. So a lot of those are out there, and a lot of those are expected to be very tenuous on the market, because they're going to be very focused on the economics as it comes into play. So let's take a look and see where we've been, where we've gone from. And as you can see on this is from, let's paint it right here. This is from December 2023. Let me pick a different color here. We're going to go right there. All right. And this is like December 2023 to February. So 2024 starts about right here. So if we look at 2024, you can see most of the year was really between, this is the end of 2024. Most of the year was between, well, we're going to take it in two parts. Okay. Most of the year, we were traveling between 75 and really 85. So that is kind of where we were on the front part of the year. So up until August, we really operated in this area up here. So this is what the front part of the year looked like. The back part of the year actually did dip down quite a bit, and we really had a cap at 80, but really spent most of the time between 75 and 65. As you can see, we went up, down, and spent a lot of time in this area. So let's take a look at crude oil supply in the United States for that period of time. So if we're looking at that period of time, and again, this is, and let me just take it to the end of 2025. There we go. All right. So what we can see here is that most of the year we spent time between 13.5 million barrels a day and 13 million barrels a day. So that's plus or minus, I would say probably plus or minus 200,000 barrels a day. And 200,000 on 13.5 million barrels a day is not that much. So when we're looking at plus or minus 200,000 barrels, this basically means when we go back to this side, this side right here, that between, for the most part, I'm going to call it 70 to 80 because probably most of the year probably averaged about 73, $74. Let's just go ahead and call it a $74 molecule. At $74, we didn't grow. We didn't really decline. We just kind of tread water. Okay. So $75 at 13 to 13.5 million barrels a day is not a price signal of expansion on the supply side. Okay, so let's hold demand constant. We're only going to focus on supply today. We will cover demand in a future series. So, so what this tells us is at $74, no growth. And a little known fact. So this, we'll call it NOG. um, so no growth at $75. So now let's come back to here. When we're looking at 63, do you think we're going to have growth there? No, it's not going to happen. We are not going to see growth in crude oil production at the $63 level. In other words, we would need to add $10 a barrel and just to stay flat. Now, some would argue we're staying flat right now. Well, there's a lag effect between rigs and when the supply side of the market responds. So, anyhow, what I would say is at $63, the US is not going to increase. And when we look internationally at OPEC, we're not seeing expansion there. They're releasing barrels back into the market of previous quota cuts. So that is something you have to bear in mind. So no growth. That's where we're going to say crude oil is no growth. So as we look forward in 2025, until we see prices above $74 a barrel, no growth. We're just not going to see it. Now let's flip to natural gas. Natural gas has a different shape. Of course, 2025 is 340. 2026 is oscillating around $4. So this is a very good exercise. So let's take a look at natural gas. And what we can see here is that most of last year, the front part of the year, we struggled around $2. Then we climbed back out of it and really didn't until the late part of the year really launch into this 250 to 350 level. So if I were to average this, I'd probably call 250 as kind of our base case for 2024. So let's see what actually happened during 2024. Let me actually move this right here. There we go. And here's what we'll do. We'll go January, and I am going to increase it just a tad to January. Okay, so what we see here, this is a supply chart, and what this basically says is that we reached by January 2024 106 BCF a day. We're just matching that right now. We're getting back to levels that we haven't seen in a while. So we're building back. That's because during 2024, there was significant periods where we were struggling to stay between 2 and 250. And the fact of the matter is, that is a no growth zone for natural gas. So what actually happened is producers started shutting in wells. They started increasing their reserves by expanding in other ways, but not really in production. They actually shut in production during that time frame. So that is a no growth. So at $2.50, so what we know by looking at the history, $2.50 is a no growth. Okay. And what I would say is during 2025, we went up significantly. Let's take a quick look at this. And in 2025, let's go ahead and okay. And then we'll take a sharper look at 2025. There we go. Okay. Close enough. So 2025 has existed. Yes, we had a range down here, but it's kind of a $3 base. And a lot of the time we were spending time between this 340 with periods above 340 to 380. So let's call it a 380 type number. Okay. Right now, 2026, 390. So we're pretty close. Let's take a look and see what the supply did during 2025 with a $3. Okay, now remember that 106 is where we were, and let's take a look at where we are going. So this 106 level is where we kind of clawed back to in 2025, or at the beginning of 2025, really got us back to 2024 start. But prices went so far down that it took a while to get back up. What you can see is this 340 to 380 level, we're treading water. So that means at a 350, let's just call it 350. 350 level, no growth, or nog. We'll call that nog. So a 350 level, we're going to see a no growth. Now, where are we trading for 2025? We're trading at 392. That means I think we'll have a little bit of supply expansion. Now, we're going to cover demand in a future one, but what we've established here is that supply at the current price levels for 2026 are not going to support growth. So that's what we do every single day here at Energy Rogue. And we actually, if you need to understand energy markets, whether it be oil markets, natural gas markets, refined product markets, natural gas liquids, we're here to help. And we have a service. If you go to energyrogue.com and click through, we have a service that describes the market and basically saves hours and hours of research. So Rogue Radar is $89 a month. And with that, you will get two PDF newsletters every single week, plus weekly video briefings, plus daily tools such as this. This is what you get with Rogue Radar. You get the weekly video these two PDF reports. One comes out Monday a.m. The other one comes out later in the week when storage runs have happened and stocks for crude oil and the weekly petroleum update has been out there. We actually provide a video narrative and two PDF reports. But every single night, we actually go through for natural gas and we go through technicals, fundamentals, weather, economics, CFTC, LNG markets, news and sentiment, Fibonacci levels, machine learning price, AI analysis, and a summary of what is actually happening out in the marketplace. We do the same for crude oil. So for just $89 a month, you are saving 30 plus hours a week of research. Now, for those that want to take the next step, that opens up to all of these tools that I was using with the interactive nature, because what you can do is actually go back in time. Let me go back here. You can actually go back in time and see history of where the market was in terms of supply, demand, storage, stocks, so much more, and financials, to where you can start to draw analysis into the marketplace. So that is what Rogue Edge is, and some people in the energy markets spend thousands of dollars a month on this. We think that's too much, so we have this tool that has over 150 charts on natural gas, crude oil, refined products, natural gas liquids, and puts everything into interactive dashboards, plus gives you priority access to us, as well as a daily trade chat in our Discord channel. That is $179 a month. So that is what we offer. And that's where, if you want to become a little bit smarter on the markets in a quicker amount of time, your options are spend thousands of dollars, spend 30 plus hours a week, or subscribe to Rogue Radar for $89 a month. And for those that want to step into a greater insight into the market, it is $179 a month. So that is what I got for you today. That is what we wanted to establish, is that crude oil and natural gas at the current futures price is not going to expand not going to expand. You're not going to see expansion here in the United States. We will talk about international on a different day, because there are different economics in other countries. So I hope you have a fantastic day. And next week we'll have Bill back and we will talk about something else. If you learned something today, drop me a like, drop me a comment, and let us know how we're doing. I want to hear from you. So I hope you have a fantastic day. This helps you a little bit. And be sure and read through and read a little bit about Rogue Radar, Rogue Edge, and that is what I got for you today. So I hope you have a fantastic one. See you soon.